So welcome to e-Niro Diaries. It's the 16th of March 2021, so it's 2 years ago yesterday I took delivery of the car. I was intending to do this video yesterday but got a bit busy with other things, and the weather wasn't great either, so I thought, well, give it its annual wash today. Only joking, we do wash it a bit more often than that. And yeah, just thought we'd go through all the kind of impressions of the car and how it's gone, with all the stats at the end as well. So yeah, I mean, as I've said before, how a car looks is very much a subjective thing. I think I've always been more interested in the kind of ordinary cars that people drive, and in my opinion the best designs of the last 40 years that have stood the test of time have been the Peugeot 205 from the 1980s and the Mark I Ford Focus. I think they were great. They were they really changed, I think, what they call the design language at the time. Remember that this car was launched in 2016 as a hybrid, so it would have probably been designed in the early 2010s, I would have thought. And obviously it was designed to take an internal combustion engine. Then they added, a few months after that, or about a year after that, they added the plug-in hybrid. And then late 2018 in Korea, this e-Niro, or Niro Electric as it's called in the US, came out. And I just think that the shape has kind of grown on me. It's a comfortable car, it's a quiet car, like all electric cars, very quick off the mark. And it seems very well built. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's got that kind of, it's a useful size. I mean, okay, it's not as big as some of the big, I think it's a little bit smaller than a Qashqai, but it's actually got the same kind of internal space, at least, as a Qashqai, because I owned one of those in the past. And obviously there are bigger cars coming now, like the VW ID4, but they're obviously that bit more expensive. And from the reviews I've seen, they're not as efficient on the use of the electricity as the Hyundai Kia products are. So yeah, in terms of wear and tear, so we've now done about 38,500 kilometres, so I'll do all the stats at the end. There's a scrape over one of the wheel arches on the plastic that I did in the first few weeks of owning it. That was getting in and out of our gate here. I mistimed, and in January 2020 I managed to drive into a bollard that I didn't spot. It was one of those low bollards, and I did a little bit of damage to this wheel. It's hardly noticeable, but it did blow the tyre out, so I had to get a couple of new front tyres. So the ones that are on the back came from the front. Got two new ones for the front, and I've obviously now got one tyre that has only had about 15,000 kilometres of use, but there's no spare wheel, so that's over there in the barn. And yeah, it doesn't seem to have picked up any more scratches in the last year or so, apart from I did have somebody bump into the back of me. I was actually taking the car into e-Niro to get its 30,000 service, I think back in October, and just outside the hospital there, somebody had come out of the hospital, and it was like at 5 miles an hour, and bumped in the back. And this guy was working for one of the care agencies, and he was very, very insistent that he pay for it all, or his company pays for it. He was driving a company car, but that's all it did. I mean, can you see? I mean, it's just a tiny little mark, and somewhere on here there's a crack. And I took it to the, oh yeah, look, there it is. There's a little crack just along there. And it was going to have to be off the road for about 2 days to have that colour coded and I said, no, don't bother. It's hardly worth it. I said, get on with your life. So there we go. The guy was, kept chasing me. He wanted to do it. He wanted to do the right thing. But there we go. So yeah, I think it's still a fine-looking car. Obviously, it wasn't designed like the new Hyundai and Kias that have just been announced this month, from a pure electric platform. it is compromised by having to accommodate an internal combustion engine for the hybrid variants, but I think it still looks good, and it's I say it's just a useful size. Anyway, just going to go on now to talk about the stats for the year. So there's the stats on the car. 2 years into ownership, we're really enjoying it. Certainly enjoying not having to buy fossil fuels again. It's been so much cheaper to run. I mean, if we'd have had the e-Niro hybrid to do that same distance, we would have spent easily €2,500 on fuel in the 2 years. We would have, because we bought the car outright, not under a lease plan, we would have paid for servicing, a couple of oil changes, probably spent about 400 on servicing as opposed to about 220, 230 on the e-Niro. So yeah, and it's interesting that the reputation of the car is sort of growing. It's had great reviews from the day it was launched, and it seems that the Hyundai and Kia products are up there with Tesla in terms of the efficiency of the powertrain. Obviously now we've got the VW ID3 and the derivatives from that car coming out this year. The Renault Zoe continues to sell well, and the Peugeot products, obviously Peugeot Citroën products in France sell very well. But in fact the e-Niro did top the charts for 2 months last year. Once in the UK in October, it was the best-selling battery electric vehicle, and once in the Netherlands, I think it was April, when it was the best-selling battery electric car there. A lot of France around Paris, and the Pas-de-Calais went into lockdown again last night. So although it's like a third of the country by population, it's only a tiny bit of it by land area. Here we're in the Poitou-Charentes, so sort of mid-south, mid-west Atlantic, middle of the country kind of place. And we thankfully haven't had too high an infection rate. So anyway, last year we didn't do so much travelling, obviously, because of the COVID, and we didn't even get back to the UK in the car. This year we hope to do that. And along with everyone else, to just be getting out and about a bit more and doing more stuff. Yeah, so there's the solar panels just behind me on the roof. Well, 4 of them. There's another 4 on the other side of the barn, which it seems we did about 85% of our driving on the sunshine from those panels. It's kind of nice to do that. So yeah, I hope you keep it safe, and thank you for watching, and thank you for the last sort of 7 or 8 people who subscribed. Has just pushed the channel over 300 subscribers, which is kind of nice. So until the next time.